Shoots and Scores Hockey Talk, where we talk about everything hockey. I am John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
All right, gentlemen, let's go. And I've just been informed by Chris that we're going to do one more hockey talk after this one. So there you go. So it's not the end of the season for us yet. Now, our first topic for
Is it the
discussion.
Stanley Cup Parade hockey talk one?
Pretty much.
It's going to be 100% all about the Carolina Hurricanes in our last podcast. Maybe you could talk about the latest Flyer news going on, but other than that,
I would hope I don't fall asleep during it.
no, the fans they're not here for Philadelphia hockey or rumors. Right?
Actually, they are. Some of them are. So
well,
our first topic for tonight's
I feel sorry for them.
Is of course the Stanley Cup Finals, right? I mean, when last we recorded the series, it was tied at 2 games apiece. Now, I felt that the Knights needed to win Game 4 and go up 3-1. I believe, Chris, I think you're sort of on the same boat, maybe not quite as vocal about it, but, and they didn't. They lost Game 4, tied the series, and then Carolina went on and didn't lose another game after that. So, and they won the series in 6 games and only lost 3 games in total the whole Stanley Cup playoff run, which is quite amazing in itself. Now, gentlemen, let's find out what happened to the Golden Knights and why they ended up losing the series and the cup. Mike, let's start with you. Why?
Well, a couple reasons. One is I think that the system that Carolina plays, Vegas couldn't capitalize on that type of system as easy as they did with playing against the teams from the West, because they play a more offensive game, whereas Carolina plays a much better defensive game than all of the teams that Vegas have played on their way to the Cup final. And I think that ended up wearing them down. And I'll be honest, Vegas looked tired, I thought. They didn't have the jump that they had in the previous series, more so starting with Game 4. It looked like I don't know if they lost a step or Carolina just neutralized them a lot better. Secondly, Vegas's power play was pretty much non-existent, and
would they score 2 power play goals the whole thing?
It wasn't a lot, but they needed to score more. They needed to capitalize on the power play, because Vegas is a team that, when they have the power play going, they're hard to beat. And this series the power play wasn't good. I know they switched their lines up a little more frequently. I thought they should have kept Dorofeyev with Eichel, and they didn't. They had moved him around through the lineup, and he's at his best. I think he had most of his goals were assisted by Eichel in the playoffs. And, they took him, and they moved their lines around, and it clearly didn't work. Having players injured didn't help either. Carlson getting hurt at the end. Mind you, the series was pretty much done at that point. Mark Stone was playing hurt, Hannafin, McNabb. So haven't really heard much about Carolina as far as injuries go for them. So I think they were relatively healthy the whole playoffs. And, they had all their lines were going. Staal's line was working. Stankoven's line was working. And the first line chipped in when they needed to. They didn't have to be dominant. So, I mean, when you've got 3 lines that are producing, and Vegas didn't have that this series, so it's hard to win. And Carter Hart had a rough go, especially the first 5 games. 6th game, he looked better. First game and the 6th game is when he looked his best. But Vegas clearly not scoring any goals in the 6th game. Kind of, it's going to sink the ship pretty quickly there. So, aside from that, Carolina played their style and they didn't change it. They played it perfectly. Even when they were down 2-1, they continued to play the way that they were, the way that they have been playing all series or all playoffs rounds. And it clearly worked out for them. And Bussy stepped in when Anderson came out and played great. And Vegas had no answer for it. So to sum it up, I know it was a little long-winded, but that is that's my thoughts on why Carolina ended up winning in Vegas. More so, ended up losing.
Okay, well, Chris, same question to you. Is what Mike's saying, is that all full of rubbish, or do you agree with Chris?
I'll try to be nice. Um, I won't go directly at any of some of those things. But when we talked about it, Mike said it was going to be a high scoring series. I said that does not favor Carolina. In the first few games, the goals were flying all over the place. And I was like, this is not what I expected, right? And then game 4, 5, and 6, the goals started coming down. Carolina started to suppress them more, and it looked more like when they played Ottawa and Philly and whatever Montreal brought, right? It was, that is what I was hoping for from game 1 all the way through. And I've heard Brendan Moore mention this before, right? You know, in a playoff series, you're trying to chop down this big tree, and you just got to keep chopping and chopping and chopping, and eventually that mother's going to go down. And I think that's what it seemed like to happen to Vegas, right? Because Vegas looked pretty good, but eventually I think the relentless pressures and the turnovers, I found the Vegas D kind of fell apart in the last couple of games. And Rasmus Anderson, Theodore is a Canadian Olympic defenseman, and not once but twice he bailed. He bailed when Martinic was coming down on him, and it led to 2 goals, right? Hannafin, you know, he lost a few battles, but I'm not surprised by that. I remember him was Carolina, and I thought he was kind of, for a big guy, kind of a weakish type of player, and Blake and those guys took advantage of him. Hart could have probably been better. I would say he was good, but not great, and that probably hurt them. But I don't think the Vegas defense helped them out at all. But yeah, that Carolina Staal finally took over the last couple of games, and that's what I was hoping for. But you know, Vegas is a big team, a lot of talent, probably a little top heavy, right? Because you saw Torts going with the big 3 quite often when momentum was changing or Carolina took the lead, right? That made them a one-line team, right?
Right.
I guess Howden's good, but Howden's good with Marner, not good with whoever and whoever, right? And Carolina, 4 lines, all contributing, all just one after another, right? It's just relentless. And over the years, this is what Carolina does to a lot of teams, right? They just wear teams out. They make teams look bad. They make good defensemen look bad with all the pressure and the forechecking and the turnovers. It's just what they do. The only thing I will go against Mike is this whole thing about tired. Vegas looked tired. No.
Well, they may have looked tired, and maybe they were tired, but I don't think they should have been
athletes.
tired.
When I say tired, I mean like they look like
you don't want to say they quit.
Trying to play against Carolina's system.
No, I think they got fed up. I think they got just, you know, it was just overwhelming, right? In the past, we would say teams quit. Now, I think the political term is now saying they got tired. They were gassed, right? I think that's the nice way to say, I think these teams said, that's it. We're done with this, right? Because Montreal, that's what they're all saying right now. And I'm just like, isn't the Montreal Canadiens the youngest hockey team in NHL?
Yes. Youngest or second youngest, I think it is.
How can the youngest team in the NHL be tired? How is that even possible? I can see the oldest team. Okay, they're getting a little old, you know. It's the same thing with the narrative of Carolina, right? They get to the Eastern Conference, and then Brendan Moore just plays them too hard, and they just crash. They get tired, right? And that's why they lost. That's a load of BS, all right? It's not a magical, you hit 92 games, and all of a sudden, I can't play anymore, coach. I'm spent. That's BS.
Well,
I don't believe in getting tired or spent, right?
They did beat Colorado in 4 games, you know. They did beat Colorado in 4 games. They had lots of rest.
Yeah, for them. Yeah. That's the thing. Because Montreal had no problem scoring 4 goals in the first period against Carolina in game 1.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
If they were so tired, how were they able to do that, right? It's like, no. So, yeah, I like to squash that whole teams getting tired and stuff. That's just an excuse people want to make for a team not doing as well as they would hope or expect. Carolina's just a relentless team, right? And Vegas, they look good for a couple of games, and then I think they just couldn't continue to compete at the level that Carolina was pushing against them. And I hope Torts got his stuff. I hope Torts, got his clothes. Talk is cheap, and he showed that once again. You can be mad and upset all you want. That's not going to change the game by leaving your clothes in the hotel, right, and predicting you're coming back. But that's Mike's boy, Torts.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Okay.
Of course he is.
Let's go. Let's move on to our second topic. Okay. Now I'm going to spew here for a while, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You gentlemen are going to have to listen to me for a few minutes here. Let's go over a few stats because I love stats. I love numbers. First, the Carolina Hurricanes outshot their opponents in 17 of 19 games. Pretty good for a one-line team, eh, Chris?
Preach.
The Canes finished the playoffs with a 16-3 record, second best all time since the 4-round era started. The best all time was the 87-88 Edmonton Oilers, who finished an incredible 16-2 record.
When did the 4-round era start?
80.
Was that 21 teams?
Oh,
when they did that?
484. I don't know what year. I'd have to look it up. I know they went to a best of 7 in the first round. It was 84, I believe. But they were playing 4 rounds then.
Yeah, it's the first few years when I moved to Canada. Yes, it was best of 5 in the first. Yeah, yeah.
When the 4 rounds started, I can't remember the exact year. In the 70s, sometime, I'm guessing, when the expansion happened. So
when 16 teams, eight of them got in?
Yeah, probably. So let's go on to some 5-on-5 dominance here. Now, when shared on ice at 5-on-5, Carolina outscored their opponents by a staggering 17-7 margin. Pretty good. Now, Rod Brind'Amour, by hoisting the cup, became only the 4th person in history to win Stanley Cup as both the team captain and the same team head coach. So which one of these is the most impressive, Chris? I listed off a bunch. Which one of those do you think is the most impressive? Yes, I know I am long-winded, but I wanted to give you some Hurricane.
And there's a lot of other record-breaking stats that through these 4 rounds that occurred through that Montreal series.
But in order to not put our listeners and Mike to sleep, I thought I would just list 4. So you're going to have to go over one of those.
Yeah, this is a historical run, right? All around. Brind'Amour. I got it's got to be Brind'Amour, right? He is a true franchise guy for this organization ever since they traded for him. Shout out to Keith Primeau for wanting to get out of Carolina. Thanks a lot, buddy. Fortunes
Mike's
changed.
Not happy about that.
No. I don't know if everybody realizes that when they traded for Brind'Amour, the Canes made the Cup Finals twice, right? 02 against Detroit and 06 against Edmonton, right?
They make the Cup Finals a lot when they pick up some of Philadelphia's players. Like, look at the Kings when they got Carter.
It happens often, Mike.
Especially goalies.
The teams are Stanley Cup winning teams are littered with former Flyers, Carolina included.
Well, it's true. It's true. Okay, so Chris,
it's a good feeder farm team for everyone else.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like it. Eh?
You're picking the Rod Brind'Amour by hoisting the cup and coaching and team captain is the most. What do you think, Mike? Which one do you think is the most impressive out of those 4 that
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, Brind'Amour, he's been there for like 8 years, and it was getting to the point where people were like, oh, he's never going to win the big one type of thing. But he's kept it consistent, and he's got players that have bought into the system that he's got the team wanting the team to play. And like I said, the system the team plays how he played when he was a player. He was good defensive, chipped in, a decent amount of offense. He was like a 70, 80 point player.
He was a 70, 80 pointer.
He was in that range. So if you've got a bunch of players that can do that, then, play well defensively and put up that amount of points or somewhat close to it, you should be successful as long as your goaltending and your defense hold up. So I agree that Brenda Moore winning as a captain and then winning as a coach, and who knows, maybe 10 years down the road he'll win as a GM too. Like
that would be something.
That would probably be the first ever, I think.
That probably would be.
We'll see.
Myself, guys, I really like the winning 16 games and only losing 3, because there's no way you can lose the Stanley Cup if you only lose 3 games in the whole thing. You can't lose.
Matt Tkachuk in his Wingman podcast today was glazing Carolina, and he was specifically talking about the 16-3. He's like, I don't care what teams you play, you go 16-3 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is something special.
Well, you know how I said Edmonton was the team that with the best of 16-2. There was no other 16-3. Carolina's not tied with anybody else. There's only one 16-3 time it happened, and Carolina is the only one to do it. And the team after that at 16-4, there's a few of them, but Edmonton also did it at 16-4. And I believe that the LA Kings was 16-4, 16-5, I forget now, but. So they're the second best team ever when it comes to that. Pretty amazing. So anyway, let's move on to our third topic now. Yes, some more hopium here for the Carolina fans, and that is Jordan Staal, because I am going to take a bit of a bow here. I don't do it often, but I'm going to do it. I suggested last week that Jordan Staal could win the Conn Smythe trophy. Both of you disagreed with me. Mike was talking about Mitch Marner, for God's sakes, as much as I love Mitch Marner. I'm like, no way, and if the Vegas Knights had a won, yes, but there's no way they're going to pick Mitch Marner, I didn't think, if Carolina won. So anyway, he won the Conn Smythe. You both disagreed. Okay, fine. Now, I have heard some controversy about this. I read some stuff. I was listening to some stuff. This decision by the NHL. So I just want to go over a few more stats about why he was picked. Staal tied a Stanley Cup final record by scoring in the first 5 games of the finals. So if you're tying records in the finals, it puts you up there in, good regards, right? Number 2, by winning the 2026 championship, Staal became the first player in NHL history to go 17 years between Stanley Cups. So that's pretty amazing. And number 3, not only did Staal lead the finals with 6 goals, which is another thing you have to remember, NHL Edge Metrics, which is what they use to determine all these other stats. They put chips and pucks and the whole bit. Also ranked 3rd in goals scored off offensive zone plays while simultaneously centering the playoffs' top penalty kill. Guys, does anything else need to be said? So, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, Mike, did Staal deserve to win the Conn Smythe?
If you're looking at the finals, yes, absolutely. But if you're looking at the entire playoffs, I don't know. If you're looking at the entire playoffs and it's a Carolina player, I would have picked Nikolai Ehlers as the winner. Yeah. I mean, he played great in every series.
He did. He was the most consistent forward.
He would have been the Carolina player I would have picked if I'm looking at the entire playoffs. If I'm looking at only the finals, then absolutely Staal would be the winner. And I don't know who does the voting, to be honest with you. I don't know who votes on that.
Elliot Friedman was one. Elliot Friedman's one. I don't know who else.
They clearly put a lot of weight into the Stanley Cup final and not so much the other round. So, it's hard to disagree with it when, he did have an excellent Stanley Cup final. But, if you're looking at the overall play, it would have been Ehlers and Marner for Vegas in those 2 situations.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I don't have an issue with them putting more weight on the Stanley Cup final, because I mean, that's where you're going to win or lose the cup, right? So as long as they do it like every year and it's not just a 1-year thing just to give it to Staal because he was the oldest guy in the team and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if there was a little bit of nostalgia in play on that vote, but it seems like there was a little bit to me. But anyway, I don't have a major issue with it, so
Okay. All right. Now, who do you have crying there for you?
Someone's
Who do
crying.
you have?
No, it's packed. He's in his crate, so
Oh, okay. So we
uh,
can't see him, no?
no, I think he wants. He's going to come out there. He's just whining.
He's
All
probably a
right.
Jordan Staal fan. He's
Yeah,
upset that
maybe
Mike's
he's a Jordan
not
Stahl
going.
fan. I think that's
Probably
probably
Jordan.
right. He probably is a
Yeah.
Jordan Stahl. Yeah, and Ehlers, like I had no problem if he would have won. I just was bringing up the topic last week about Stahl, and you guys said no way. So I thought that it was. I have to take a bit of a bow here. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Okay, Chris, what do you think? Did he deserve to win? You're probably going to say no, and you thought Marner should have won, right? Is that right?
No. Uh,
No.
do you deserve to
Jeez.
win? Yes, because of all the stuff he does that's outside of scoring.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring up the third point about the NHL edge metrics.
Yeah.
With the top
Yeah.
penalty kill.
And he has 68% face off in the Stanley Cup
Oh,
Finals.
I forgot to put that down there. Yes.
Yeah. He plays against the other team's best center every series and usually shuts them down. But historically, this is not the way these guys have voted in the past, right?
Right.
And I think, yes, there's 2 points. Like Mike said, he's the old guy, been 17 years. I think that played a part in it.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Recency bias is becoming a plague in the internet world and people's world. They can only focus on what's happening now and not what's happened in the past, right? It's less thinking to do that. So I think recency bias probably and all the goals he scored. Um, I'm glad you said Nicholas Ehlers because the more I thought about it, I think the problem also behind Staal is that there was so many guys that could have gotten this, right? This isn't McDavid, Draisaitl, and a bunch
Yeah.
of, who cares? Stankoven. Blake led the team in scoring. I didn't even know that until he scored that goal and they said he had 20 points. I was like, what? Hall had 19 points.
Yeah. Not Hall could have won it too.
He could have won it too. Again, historically, they don't do this, but Slavin and Miller could have won it for all the defensive play they did back there. But to me, it was Ehlers. He was a difference maker almost every round. Highlight goals, highlight passes, right? He looked like he was playing at another level. They brought him in to be that type of guy, and he delivered, right? So yeah, if I was voting, I probably would lean. Again, Ehlers is playing with Staal, right? And a few of those goals, it's Ehlers giving the puck in easy spots to score goals, right? So I think Staal's offense picked up because he had a first line winger on his wing, and Jarvis joined him the last 2 games too, right? So
Right.
he became more of a second first line center than a third line center
Right.
games 5 and 6. But yeah, I'm good with it. Because historically, that's just not the way they usually vote. And if they voted historically, I thought Ehlers would have been the guy to get it, right?
I'm sure that what Mike said earlier about some nostalgia seeping in there, I have no doubt that it did. But
Mm-hmm.
the point is that I was right. You guys were wrong. Take that. Okay. Next topic, fourth topic. Anything else you guys wanted to say about the finals? Now, Chris wants to say plenty, but we have to limit him here somewhat, right? So, Chris,
About the
go ahead. What
finals,
do you want to say? Anything else?
it was awesome. It was great. I love the result. It was a great ride. It was definitely worth it. Like I said, it was 8 years building to get here. And Tom Dundon acquired the team. Ron Francis got let go, and Don Waddell took over. I guess Talusti was already in the organization at that time. They already brought him in there a couple of years earlier, so he was already helping out the analytics side. Um, and the first trade they made was for Jordan Martinook, right? And that really shows this is like a cultural type of move, right? We're going to bring a guy here who works his ass off to support Brindamore and help sell his message, right? And at that time, everyone was like, "Who's this guy? This guy can't score. He's a fourth line bum. Who's Jordan Martinook, right?" And he's been there on Stahl's wing for 8 years and part of the culture there, right? So, but he was the first player that Waddell traded for when Dundon took over. Yeah, So he's been there. Him, Aho, Sheftikov, Slavin. I think are the leftovers for the guys who were back then, right? Going through the grind. But I said, next cast there, I'm going to go through a big Carolina dumping of the 8 years and how we got here. So,
Oh,
other than
man.
that, um,
Mike might have to pull out his Philadelphia Flyers pillow and
but yeah, I think how we started off right was Ottawa, and I was like, I didn't want them to face Ottawa. I knew they were going to be a tough test. It was a sweep, but they were still a tough test. Uh, Philly, yeah, Philly gave them a little bit of a run, I guess. Montreal was historically bad for that team. Um, and then Vegas, again, I didn't like how to start. I didn't like all the goals flying, and then eventually it got to a point where I was pretty happy. So just don't
all
forget,
right.
everybody, they're your Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Mike rolls his eyes. Yeah. Okay. All right, Mike. Anything else you wanted to add about these finals? Anything else you wanted to throw in there?
Uh, not so much. Aside from we all got the news that Torts are going to be back with Vegas, so
We're going to talk
a
about that in a minute.
little bit surprised by it. I figured, you know what, he probably earned the opportunity to go back after the stretch run they had to get in, and I mean, you get to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, aside from winning, what more can you do? So, little surprised that they've moved on from him, but he'll be the hired gun for the next team that has this type of situation pop up. Who knows? But yeah, no, the finals were entertaining. I mean, I watched every game, so
I was up late watching the games. Yeah, it was great.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't. Carolina was the favorite going in. I was obviously hoping Vegas would win, just to have Torts get the win, but I've got no issue with Brindamore, winning, and Gostis Bear, who wasn't good enough for the Flyers. I mean, who needs an offensive defenseman, right? Not the
No,
Flyers.
no,
Not when they got Cam York.
no,
Um,
no. I mean, Toronto couldn't use them either or
yeah,
anything.
no, I mean, but I think really it was Nick Delorier that powered that team through these rounds here and inspired them to get the win. So
Of
You
course
see
it was. Of
Delorier?
course.
You see Delorier in the party there?
yeah. But I don't know if you guys seen the stuff in the dressing room after Rod Brindamore. Like, the guy's in
Yeah.
amazing shape. He could be out there playing, like, still. So, and I don't doubt that whatsoever. And I mean, I've noticed other people have commented on it as well since then. But yeah,
Well, they
so
don't call him Rod the Bod for nothing, right?
yeah. Well, he's always been big on the fitness. So, you know, I think his work ethic has creeped into that team the way it's supposed to. And like I said, he should be out there playing. He could go out there and play next year. Player coach, winning a cup. That would be a first,
If
maybe, right? Player
if
coach, and
I'm
player.
sure he
if
can't skate. I'm
Yeah.
sure he can't skate anymore.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure he can't
yeah,
skate anymore.
yeah.
if only the Toronto Maple Leafs would build a team the way the Carolina Hurricanes did. If only they would do that.
Mm.
But
They got a
wait,
great coach now, don't they?
I thought they had a good coach before. I
You
like
know,
Oh,
Berube.
I like Berube, but Sheldon Keefe, he was terrible.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I had to get
And,
rid of him.
yeah. And now look at New Jersey. They can't win, and they've got them. How these guys keep getting jobs when they lose team after
well,
team?
well, go to your torts thing there. Everything I'm reading is that it was already kind of understood that he was just going in, finish the job, playoffs, and then he was gone because they were hiring Ryan Craig or
Yeah,
something
they're minor league team
from
coach,
the
but
minor league. And then, of course, if you look at Ryan Craig, guess where he played? Brandon Wheat Kings. Guess where the GM is from? Brandon McKibben. He's Brandon Wheat King. So the old boys club just keeping the old boys
Well,
happen, right?
yeah, of
Taking
course.
care of their own, as they say, taking
Yeah.
care of their own.
All right. Okay, now I got one more topic here I want to go over, gentlemen, before we end tonight, and that's I want to chat a little bit about all the moves that have been happening lately because there's been some stuff going on, players, coaches. We were already talking about Tortorella. What has happened that you guys find interesting? Now, Mike, let's start with you first. What moves or what's happened that's really caught your attention? I mean, you already talked about Tortorella.
Well,
Anything else here that's caught your mindset here? What do you think?
I'm
Toronto
not aware
traded
of
their
anything.
Toronto
I'm
traded their
not aware
number
of
one
everything going
goalie.
on. There's nothing going on. Two teams that, made one trade. No one cares. Let's move on. Let's find something more exciting to talk about.
Toronto traded their number one goalie to be the backup in Philadelphia.
Well, I don't understand that, but like I said, I'm not a Leafs fan anymore, so there you go. It doesn't matter.
It was to clear the cap, basically. If you're looking at this trade, the trade is basically Wall for Emil Andre and a third round pick. Sam
Sure.
Ersson is, if he's in the NHL next year, he should consider himself lucky. He had some of the worst numbers that a goalie could put up. So, and Toronto already has Hildeby, who's got to be with the team next year in order to keep him from going through waivers. So, clearly, Ersson is probably going to get a two-way contract, and then he can play with Akhtamov in the minors for the year. Emil Andre's a depth defenseman, smallish, can provide a little bit of secondary offense. He wasn't really given a chance to do so in Philadelphia, but he does have some offensive skill, but he's small, and the third round pick. So as far as the Flyers, I mean, they get a more reliable backup goalie.
Well, that's what they wanted, right? They wanted a more reliable backup goaltender.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, because they have Vladar and they want him to be the number one, so they just wanted someone that they could trust to put in to some games when he wasn't playing. Because when he was hurt, they still had to play him because there was very little faith in the backup. So, and it's been like that in Philadelphia for years. So, and Benoit, the defenseman, he's just depth. So, wouldn't surprise me if he was in the minors next year, depending on what moves Philly makes in the off season. And there was I think a couple other small trades. I can't think of them right off the top of my head. Maybe Chris knows what they are, but
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just kind of thought you'd want to talk about the Philly Toronto move, so that's why I brought it up. And I knew you'd talk about Tortorella, so you had to talk about that. So, Chris, anything that you
Yeah,
wanted to?
yeah. So analytics, they like Andrade. Is that how you pronounce it? Like the wrestler?
Andrade.
The same
Andre,
idea.
not like Andre. Yeah.
Andre. Yeah, the analytics like him. And Wall. I don't know if you can use the word reliable backup because I think Toronto Maple Leaf fans will tell you it wasn't very reliable to be
Well,
dressed.
first of all, Chris, do not
More
trust Toronto
reliable
Maple
than
Leaf
what they
fans.
had is what I said. So
Do not trust Toronto Maple Leaf fans. We've already seen what happens there. So,
True. And Valdar hasn't officially signed yet, right? I know there's been numbers spewing for a couple of weeks, but
I think that's going to be done July 1st, though. That's going to be quick. I think they're saying they've already agreed on the term and the money. It's just they have to wait to announce it. So
Wall makes $4 million. Is that right?
I think it's 3.5.
3.5. And Vladar could be 5 to 6. That's a lot of money tied up in goaltending.
Well, the Philly's got the
you got
cap
lots of,
right
you got
now,
lots of
and
room, so.
Yeah. Well, Mike's looking that up. Yeah, the other trade that happened, which I think is 3.6. Okay, is San Jose getting that right shot fenceman Kesselring from moving down from 20 to 28. In the grand scheme of things, that is nothing. I know people are freaking out about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? 20 to 28 value-wise is almost nothing, right? So they basically got him for nothing. I think people forget, or they don't, again, check history. because you have a first round pick doesn't mean you're picking a star or someone's going to play for you for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Especially in the 20s to 30s, your chances of them being in NHL, right? And I think most of them, they'll use the 200 game mark as a way to dictate if someone made it or not, or a star or not, or whatever. And the first round is like 50%. Half the guys that go in the first round do not play 200 games in the NHL. So slams to 20 to 28, that's nothing. That's nothing. And kudos for Mike Greer's made some weird plays before, but I think this move sounds like a pretty good play for San Jose. I don't understand why the hate's coming from that at all. I think people just overvalue first round picks, especially late ones. They're hard to hit.
Okay.
Anything? Oh, the Colorado. Oh yeah. Sakic's buddy goes to Nashville, and the first thing they do is, "Hey, can you help me with my salary cap problem?" Yeah, sure, Joe. Whatever you say, Joe. Oh, boys. So they went and got Colton something. Can't think of his name. And I think he's got a $4 million deal left on his. And they got two draft picks too, which is kind of interesting. But
2/3, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of overpay because he's only got 1 year left on his deal, but it's one buddy helping the other buddy out. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
I think somebody mentioned this, and I totally agree with the salary cap rising for every team and free agency being really, really bad. Like there's only a couple of guys that money should be thrown at. I think we're going to see a very busy trades, lots of trades. So I think we're going to see a lot of movement, right? In the past, with the flat cap, people couldn't make moves, right? It had to be dollar in, dollar out. Now we're going to see a lot more deals because there's space for people to bring in guys. So this should be a very active next 10 to 12 days in the NHL for transactions.
Right, which is part of the reason why we are going to have one more hockey talk. So go over some moves that are going to happen.
And just one thing I kind of thought of when Mike was talking. I have to thank Carolina. Her organization also has to thank the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Because they wouldn't have won the Stanley Cup if it wasn't for longtime legend Patrick Marleau playing for the Carolina Hurricanes, right? That trade just it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful from Dubas to send us Seth Jarvis and Patrick Marleau, right? It was a thing of beauty. And then of course this year. Carolina traded for Caden Primo to be their third goaltender during the summer from Montreal, right? And gave Montreal a 7th round pick. Toronto had injuries. Well, guess who wasn't ready? Wall, right? He wasn't ready for the opening of the season. So they had to go and trade, or they had to claim Caden Primo before the start of the season. So since Carolina lost him, they went and claimed Mr. Busey, who Florida was pushing down to the AHL. So once again, Toronto, thank you. We couldn't have won this cup without you guys.
Yeah, I disagree with that one. I think any goalie could have done what Busey did at the end there.
Busey, Jarvis, Patrick Marleau.
Oh, no, I'm not.
A Hall of Fame player you gave us. You gave us a Hall of Famer.
Not Busey though. Hey, I don't go with that. But Jarvis and Marleau, yeah, of course, sure.
Because I know Toulouse's getting a lot of credit for all the maneuvering he's done the last couple of years, but said next call I will go through what Plan A was and how they got to Plan B and C, and now he looks like a genius. But Condre Miller wasn't the first guy, right? Busey wasn't the first guy. It was Caden Primo, right? It was his opportunity to play in the NHL. So sometimes it just works out.
Sometimes it just works out. That's going to be the name of this episode. Sometimes it just works out. And it worked out pretty fine for Chris. Yes, Mike?
Yeah, one other thing there. I don't know if you guys had heard, but John Carlson informed the Anaheim Ducks that he was not going to be re-signing with them. He wants to go back east. So,
I did not hear that, no.
Yeah.
Good job, Verbeek with another masterclass trade.
What about, and I forget his name off the top of my head, sorry, can't believe I forget his name. The Detroit player said he wanted out the top guy.
Larkin.
Dylan Larkin. Any word on where I know he had some teams, but has that expanded any?
Yeah.
Because what
Yeah.
what he list like 4 teams or something stupid or whatever it was.
It was
Three
three.
originally. Yeah.
Yeah.
3. So is
They're going to get a lot for him. I'll be shocked if it's they don't empty the clip. Someone empties the clip to get Dylan Larkin.
where do you think he'll go, Mike? Do you have any idea? Like where what do you
I think Minnesota has the assets to do the trade, and Bill Guerin, I think, is more than willing to do the trade. So my guess is Minnesota. The other teams, the talk with Florida is they'd have to trade Lundell plus something else to get him. Vegas, I don't know how Vegas gets that under the cap when they're already have cap problems.
What
People were
about San Jose?
suggesting that they could move Dorofeyev as part of the deal for him because he's going to get paid.
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But I don't know. Vegas is always a team known for trying to make a big move, so can't rule them out. But I think Minnesota is probably the favorite because I think they have the younger assets. Unless Detroit's looking for more established NHL players, then they would have to look somewhere else because I don't think Minnesota would move any of their more established players aside from the talk was Yurov and who's the other young guy, Chris, they were talking about. There's 2 of them, Yurov and somebody else. I can't remember.
There's a prospect they have in the system, Charlie Stamel.
Who's that?
The big guy? Is it Charlie Stamel?
Charlie Stamel. Yeah.
Stamel, yeah. Some big 6'5", 4 guy or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but if Detroit is looking for some, like,
and I mean, they want pieces now. Yeah.
Detroit wants to win now, so it's hard for them to make that move without getting, a quality NHL player back. So I think Minnesota has the good pieces, but it all depends on where Detroit wants to go. And if they want to make the playoffs next year, they got to look elsewhere. But
there's going to be a lot of options, right? Trocheck's out there. McTavish is out there. I think more guys are going to become available. Pedersen, if you can figure out some type of cap retentive. I think it's going to be a very busy summer. And your thing on San Jose, yeah, for the past year, because of Celebrini's breakout, a lot of people are trying to push star players now to go join him, right? But then Greer has to make that decision. Which young guys do I give up on? And if he makes the wrong choice, it's not going to look good. A lot of talk now about not sending their second pick out. It's trading William Eklund instead, right? And keeping that second, but using Eklund package to get something. But I think San Jose still has a lot of holes to fill. I don't think getting one-star player is going to all of a sudden make them the team to beat in the West. So they should be a little more patient, but they got $30 or $40 million in cap space, right? So I'm sure they're desperate to use it.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to leave it there for this evening, gentlemen, but we will certainly be back next week. So like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Later.
Later.
Later.